Different. Okay. Anyway, we'll sing it the best we can. Okay? Nadia Godrume. Dai Nitai. Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Atiya Chenamata Jivirakara. Atiya Chenamata Jivirakara. Sharavanjane, 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 Sharavanjane. Prabhu Rakhai Bhai Magai Bhikha. Prabhu Rakhai Bhai Magiye Bhikha. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Aparada shunya hoy Loho Krishna Nam. Aparada shunya hoy Loho Krishna Nam. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhyana Pran. Krishna Mata, Krishna Vita, Krishna Dhyana Pran. Krishna Sangsara Koro Charyana Char. Krishna Sangsara Koro Charyana Char. Jiva Doya Krishna Nam Sarvadharma Sar. Jiva Doya Krishna Nam Sarvadharma Sar. Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Patiya Chenamata Jivarakara. Patiya Chenamata Jivarakara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nadiya Godume Nityananda Mahajan. Nadiya Godume Nityananda Mahajan. Bhadiya Chenam Hatta Jivarakaram. Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Shri Srimad Goswami Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamun Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Nityananda Trayodashi Maha Mahotsava Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. When I first came to Mayapur, we were instructed, we said, you know, in Vrindavan, everyone says, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. But here, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. Its practice has diminished. We don't hear as much as we should. Jai Nitai. But today, at least, let us repeat it again and again. Whoever we meet, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. So, we should read some verse to begin our reflection on Nityananda. I chose one verse, actually two verses, from the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 5th chapter, verses 208 and 209. Preme mata Nityananda kripa avatar Uttama adama kichu na kori vichar. Ye age pare ye tare khare nishtar Ateva nishtarila mohena durachar. Synonyms. Well, would you like to try to chant it together? Let's try. I don't have anything on a board or anything, but it's a pretty simple Bengali verse, so let's try. Preme mata Nityananda kripa avatar. Preme mata Nityananda kripa avatar. Uttama adama kichu na kore vichar. Uttama adama kichu na kore vichar. Preme, in ecstatic love. Mata, mad. Nityananda, Lord Nityananda. Kripa, merciful. Avatar, incarnation. Uttama, good. Adama, bad. Kichu, any. Na, not. Kore, makes. Vichar, consideration. Translation. Because he is intoxicated by ecstatic love and is an incarnation of mercy. He does not distinguish between the good and the bad. Hare Krishna. Jai Nitai. Jai Nitai. Jai Nitai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The second verse that comes right after that. Jayage pare tara kore nishtar. Jayage pare tare kore nishtar. Ateva nishtarila mohena durachar. J, whoever. Age, in front. Pareye, falls down. Tare, unto him. Koreye, does. Nishtar, deliverance. Ateva, therefore. Nishtarila, delivered. Mo, as me. Hena, such. Durachar, sinful and fallen person. Translation. He delivers all those who fall down before him. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Therefore, he has delivered such a sinful and fallen person as me. Hare Krishna. Jai Nitai. I think these two verses in many ways sum up the glories of Sri Nityananda. Mahaprabhu even once said to Nitai, "You can do what I can't do." We see in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how he preached to the, especially we see his preaching begins with people like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the most learned person. He preaches to Rupa and Sanatan, very highly elevated personalities. He speaks with Ramananda Roy, a great servant in the government. Prataparudra, the king. And Nityananda preaches to Jagai and Madai. Nitai appeared 13 years before Mahaprabhu in Ekachakragram. His youth was extraordinary. We could spend our whole time speaking about his youthful Leela, in which he simply enjoyed the pastimes of his own pastimes. After performing so many Leelas that he would do with his young friends, like the children here, you must sometimes play, and sometimes you dress up and I'm good. Who will be Radha? Who will be Krishna? Who will be, right? This is natural. But here he is enacting in detail every little part of Ramayana, of Bhagavatam, and they ask, "You're just a young boy. How do you know all of this?" And he said, "Well, it's my Leela. I should know it. It's my own Leela." So in this way he played and enjoyed. And the entire village of Ekachakragram was just immersed in the pastimes of Nityananda until one fateful day when a sannyasi appears. There are different stories of who that sannyasi was. According to some accounts, it was actually Lakshmipati Tirtha, the spiritual master of Madhavendra Puri. It's not very clear. But in any case, he makes his impossible demand. But he, according to what we heard, I think, from one devotee, Lokanath Maharaj, I think, was speaking about this. And by the way, if you haven't tuned in to hear Mayapur TV's Krishna Kathamrita, please do so. That before he began eating, this sannyasi said, "I'll only accept your prasad if you agree to my request later." And Harai Pandit, "Now, of course, anything, Maharaj." Little did he know that after enjoying prasad, that sannyasi would say, "You know, I've been traveling alone. It's quite difficult. And I have many places to go. I need an assistant. And there's actually no one more qualified. Then you're a very good son. Yes, I know he's only 12 years old, but I can see, very intelligent." The devastation that ultimately occurred because Harai Pandit had to agree became, you could say, the death of Harai Pandit, Padmavati, and the entire village. But there they went. it seems to be that this is just about the time that Mahaprabhu is appearing. 12 years, 13 years. And so now, okay. Nitai at this time goes traveling. He goes everywhere, all over India. He's just a young boy. Finally, he ends up in Vrindavan. By this time, he must be in his late 20s. He's traveled for some time. Just absorbed in his own meditations, waiting. And he gets to know, yes, Mahaprabhu is ready. Up to this time, we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had performed his youthful Leela as Nimai Pandit. But now he's become transformed after initiation from Ishvarapuri. And the Sankirtan movement has begun. The flood has begun. The storehouse of Krishna Prema is being broken open. The residents of Navadvip are tasting the sweetness of Krishna Nam. And now Nityananda says, yes, I'll come now to join my Lord. And he arrives here, just nearby. Mahaprabhu, I believe he was in the house of Srivas Pandit at the time, becomes, he is here. He is here. He is here. And he says, someone is here. Some great soul has come. Go, find him, bring him. And they go to find, they go to search. They can't find, where, who, where? They go, we have not found. Come on, let's go. Mahaprabhu, let's go. Straight he goes to the house of Nandanacharya. And there, they meet and embrace. And the world is not the same. Nitai Gaur have come together to deliver the entire world. There's so many pastimes in Navadvip. Nitai is mad. Nitai is no ordinary person. Although Mahaprabhu has been a pandit, he's taught, he has some, but he also, from time to time, becomes intoxicated and loses his bearings, he even thinks, am I diseased with some great disease? He's assured by Srivas and Murari, no, this is transcendental. But Nitai is always like this. He is constantly like a little child. He is Avaduta. He has no concerns. He's intoxicated. We heard, just like your Madden, Matta. He is Matta. in ecstatic love. And because he is like this, then Uttama, Adama, he has no concern, he doesn't see. Satchidananda Maharaj gave a wonderful story last night about how in his childhood he used to live one place, and he said it was an island or something. Okay, but anyway, he lived there, and in the area there was one drunkard. He was always drunk. And so Satchidananda describes how as a young man he used to go to him and say, yeah, please give me 100 marks. I need something. And which is a lot of money, actually. And this man, because he was so drunk, he couldn't tell who this person was. Was he my friend? Was he my relative? Okay, yeah, here it is. He just gave. Because he had no discrimination, because he was intoxicated. I hope none of you have experienced such things. Have any of you? We have had previous lives, so some of us may have, in a previous non-Krishna conscious life, we may have indulged and gotten so drunk that we didn't know where we were, what we were doing, anything. And then the next morning, I said that. I did that. That was me. Oh, no. That's the effect. But Nitai, he's intoxicated with love of Krishna. And in this state, he behaves just like a child. At times he would come before Mahaprabhu without any clothes on. So intoxicated with Krishna prema. And Mahaprabhu would take his turban off of his head, his cloth or his uttariya, or some cloth, and wrap it quickly around. Oh, Nityananda, what are you doing? They had so many beautiful leelas. And one day, what we sang today, Prabhur agyai by magi e bhiksha. Bolo Krishna, Koro Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha. He ordered Nityananda and Haridas. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Shuno, Shuno Nityananda, Shuno Haridas, Sarvatra Amar Agya, Karaho Prakash, Prati Gore Gore, Giya Kora E Bhikha, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. This is the seed of our Sankirtan movement. This is the seed of Srila Prabhupada's service. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine. Receiving the order. So Mahaprabhu is given the order. He's given the order to Nitai. And they proceed. We have to, on these days, we are invited to speak about the glories of Nityananda, and we naturally think, let me relate some pastimes. There's so many pastimes of Nitai. We could relate the pastimes of his traveling with Mahaprabhu to Puri and breaking the danda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We could talk about Nityananda's later pastimes, and we should explore that. But when we think about the pastime of Nitai, which stands out, then, and is so relevant to us, none other than, let's see if you guess it, Jagai and Madai. Dina hina jatai chilo harinam udarilo. Dina hina jatai chilo harinam udarilo. Tarasaki jagai madai. Dina, hina, the fallen, the lowly, all can be lifted. Udama adama. Everyone can be delivered by Harinam. And the proof is Jagai and Madai. And this was Nitai's intention. He wanted to prove the words and the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. He wanted to prove it. He wanted to make sure that everyone could know this is a fact. Everyone, no matter who you are, it does not matter. The mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unlimited. And the proof is Jagai and Madai. So they went out, Haridas and Nitai, Gore, and they began going through the town of Navadvip. Those who were pious received them, but those many rejected them. Just as we may go out into the towns and the villages, and some will receive and others will demean us. In the same way, Nitai and Haridas went here and there. Some suspected them. Like when we came to India, the dancing white elephants of Srila Prabhupada, many said, they must be CIA agents. So here they were thinking, this Nityananda, they're dressed like this, they're just, kind of inspecting. We've had this in our own community. I've heard a few people, they dress up like they're devotees and they go knocking around doors to say, I'm sorry, I was looking for somebody else. And all they're doing is trying to see, what's inside. Can I come back and steal? So people were suspecting. And as they were roaming, they see in the distance, and they hear, they don't only see, but they hear these two fellows behave just loud and obviously terribly drunk. And they see them, and Nityananda says, aha, now we'll put this to the test. We've been ordered. They inquire, who are these fellows? The townspeople said, don't mess with them. Don't mess. You may think, and many of us have watched the dramas of Jagai and Madai, and we look to the stage and we see two devotees dressed up, and they're kind of bumbling about, and they look kind of foolish. And at first glance, these two, in their drunken state at the time, might have looked quite foolish and bumbling. In fact, they behaved quite foolish. They were, shouting and punching each other and tearing her hair, because they were drunk. But they weren't always drunk. They weren't always drunk. They were vicious. At times I've thought, and this will reveal maybe some of my past, and hopefully no one will know too much of the person I'm speaking of, but some of you may have watched a movie. I saw one movie in the past, old time, long time ago, Scarface. In this movie, there's a guy who is so bad. He has no thought to just kill you, whoever you are. You could be his friend, but if you cross him, you're dead. These people are there. They exist. Probably in Navadip today there are people like this. They may have looked at the time as being bumbling, but they were vicious people. It is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is no sin they hadn't committed. So the townspeople, they said, don't mess with these people. You may be, filled with your love of Krishna and your, Hare Krishna, but you don't mess with these guys. They would kill you in a moment. And this just makes Nityananda more convinced. More convinced. This will be the proof of Mahaprabhu's order and his mercy, that these souls can be saved and delivered. The whole world will then come to know the power of the holy names of Krishna by the saving of these two. So come on, Haridas, let's go. Haridas is a little, Mahaprabhu, Nitai is, he's probably 30-something, okay? Mahaprabhu is about 20-something at this time. He's 12, 13 years older, so he's in his 30s. He's got lots of, but Haridas is probably 20 years older than him. He's not so ready to go up. But, okay, Nitai. Mad Nitai, all right, let's go. They don't get all the way up. They stay a little bit in distance and they call out. They say, Bhajo Krishna! Bolo Krishna! Koro Krishna Sikha! Hey! Bhajo Krishna! Krishna Pita! Krishna Mata! Krishna Dana Pran! Serve Krishna! They repeat Mahaprabhu's command. Jagai and Madai take notice. What? 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 Get them! And they start running. Of course, they're a little intoxicated right now, so fortunately, and they're big guys, so they can't run too fast in their... So, fortunately, Nitai and Haridas are able to take their... Okay, I guess we did it. But it's ordered, they run. When they get a little distance and they see they've got some, distance, and Haridas turns to, you crazy man! Again, you're getting us killed now. I was just delivered from the Yavanas, because just prior to this, Haridas Thakur was caught and beaten in 21 marketplaces, and now you're going to get us killed. And wait a minute, this is we're following. Don't blame me, blame your Lord Mahaprabhu. He ordered us. And in this way, in a kind of joking way, according to Chaitanya Bhagavata. They're laughing and arguing, and they come to the house of Srivas and Mahaprabhu. So they give the report. And Advaita Acharya says, just by seeing you, they've been delivered. And I know, in few days, they will be delivered. Around this same time, according to Chaitanya Bhagavat, which doesn't get related so much, Jagai and Madai actually decide to camp out and to make a little base of their operations around the same ghat near to Mahaprabhu. They actually get to hear his kirtan. And they see Gauranga and call out and say, hey, that's pretty good. You're a good singer. You sing very nicely. Why don't you sing Mangala Chandi next time? We'd like to hear it. Mahaprabhu he avoids them. But Nitai does not. This time, Nitai, he's going to save these souls. And he approaches their area at night, in the evening. He's really risking things. They spot him and say, well, who are you? What's your name? And he responds, Avaduta. Somehow, this enrages Madai. Avaduta? I'll give you an Avaduta! And he takes his broken pot and throws it at Nityananda. Nityananda's hit. Blood is coming out. The word gets to Mahaprabhu, who comes running. Now they are finished. He manifests his chakra. Before this, Jagai, just before this happens, Jagai, because Madai is ready to do much more. This was just the beginning. The pot in the head. Now he's going to finish him off. Jagai catches him. What are you doing? What gain you get from this? It's just a beggar sannyasi. Come on. Madai cools down a bit. Mahaprabhu arrives. He's ready to kill them. And Nitai pleads, no. You have appeared to deliver the most fallen. You can save these souls. Particularly Jagai, look at, he saved me. Mahaprabhu extends his mercy to Jagai, and Madai, seeing this, begs for the mercy of Mahaprabhu. What transpires after this is the total transformation. A total transformation. An unbelievable transformation. From being the lowest, Jagai and Madai become filled with love. From being filled with hate, filled with envy, filled with lust, filled with greed, filled with everything bad. They become filled. They become emptied. Emptied of all sin. Emptied of all dirt. And filled with the highest treasure, love of Krishna. Such a transformation. Unbelievable. This is the mercy. This is the power of Nityananda. We are all the servants of Nityananda. We are all here by the mercy of Nityananda. Nityananda continued his preaching. He preached all over Bengal. He would come to Puri regularly with his associates, the Dwadasa Gopals. He had, because from his Krishna Leela, his associates also came, and their pastimes are incredible. Udaran Datta, Abhiram Das Thakur, Gauridas Pandit. I don't know all the names. And one day, or one time, after coming to Puri with all of his associates, Mahaprabhu says, okay, just now you stay in Bengal. You stay and you have to deliver everyone. This must be the time when Mahaprabhu is beginning to withdraw, to enter into the Gambhira. So he sets forth Nitai. And I'm making this up, but I can hear Gauranga Mahaprabhu saying something to the effect to Nityananda, time for you to settle down, get married. Apparently he orders Nityananda to get married. So he does. He comes back to Bengal. And there's about 3 different stories of how he gets married to Janava and Vasudha. Bhakti Ratnakar says one thing, Prema Vilas I think says another thing. There's a few different stories. So Bhakti Ratnakar says that the father of Janava, Surya, who's the brother of Gauridas Pandit, has a dream in which he sees Nitai as Baladev, and he's inspired to seek, to offer his daughter Janava. In another story, Nityananda comes to Suryadas, and in a moment of Krishna's Yoga Maya, Suryadas refuses to give Janava. And Janava later enters into a epileptic state and is unconscious, and the doctors come and she can't be saved, and somehow Nitai arrives. Well, we think we must have offended Nityananda. He comes, and as soon as the aroma of Nityananda reaches Janava, she awakens. And in another place, they find Janava is somehow in the vicinity, and Nitai is there, and she falls onto the ground, and she has the same sort of thing. But anyway, there's a few different stories. But somehow or other, Janava becomes the wife of Nityananda. And her sister, Vasudha, becomes also. And there are many different stories. They go and they settle in Kardaha. And here is a mystery to me. What happens? There's a whole life that takes place that must be the chronology is not clear, but this is my piecing it together, okay? My piecing together the chronology is that Nityananda must have left around 8 years or so before Mahaprabhu's departure. He must have left around that time, when Mahaprabhu is beginning his Antya Lila. And Sanatan, because the only place this is mentioned, in Adi Lila it talks about how Sanatan and Rupa are sent to Mathura for preaching and Nitai is sent to Bengal for preaching. So somewhere around that time. So that's about 8 years or so. And then we also know that Janava is present for the first festival in Keturi. And this takes place a certain number of years. I think it's only 1 or 2 years after the departure of Mahaprabhu. So this is more or less an 8 or 9 year period that we don't know much about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching mission in Bengal. At least I have not discovered much. But we know that by his preaching on the order of Mahaprabhu, Bengal becomes intoxicated, saturated. Everywhere people are calling out for Gauranga. And Nityananda says, Bhajo Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Lo Gauranga Namare, Je Jana Gauranga Bhajo, She Hoy Amar Pranare. This is his life. Bhajo Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laho Gauranga Nam, Je Jana Gauranga Bhajo, She Hoy Amar Pranare. He brings us to Gauranga. Sri Nitai brings us to Lord Chaitanya. And under the shelter of Lord Chaitanya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we can receive the greatest treasure, love of Krishna. So, let us all worship Nityananda and pray to him, fall down, just like suggested here by Krishnadas Kaviraj. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Let us fall down like sticks before Nityananda. He can deliver us all, because he has no consideration. Uttama Adama. Uttama Adama kichu na kare vichar. He doesn't see any distinction. We have all kinds of dirty things in us. We may all feel, at least, when we come before Krishna and we say, Dina Hina, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Doya Koro More, Toma Vina Ke Dayalu, Jagat Sangsare, Patita pavana hetu toma avatar. Mo samo patita Prabhu. Nahi pabeyar. Ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. Kripa, kripa bola kana koro. Ami boruduki. We're all struggling in this world. This thing or that thing. But Nitai is there. He is there. No consider. He is always there. We can never. Nityananda cannot see any offense. He only sees another soul that must be saved by Gauranga as his servant. So now I thought I had a few minutes, but they're blowing the conch shell. So, anyway, thank you very much. Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
भगवान की, भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की, जगत गुरु